Necessary Blackness podcast is independently owned, and we do not accept sponsorship dollars from corporations. We are supported by the people such as yourself who know that in war, the first casualty is the truth. We are at war with racism and white supremacy. We must continue to tell the truth. Support us by purchasing your Necessary Blackness t-shirt by sending an email to necessaryblacknesspodcast@gmail.com.
Yo, that's what I'm talking about, man. You'll hear it here first. Now, our feature presentation.
Peace and Black Power family. This is your host, Rahiem Shabazz, and I am here with my co-host, Marci Li. And thank you for everybody that has been tuning in to Necessary Blackness podcast. And I want to send a special thanks and a shout out to everybody that been sending in donations and has been supporting us thus far. As you know, we do not accept money from third-party corporations or any type of outside entity. That way we can remain the independent voice, that black independent voice, that uncompromising independent voice.
That uncensored.
That uncensored. Yeah, and speaking about censored, there will be no censoring. There will be no filters. This is unfiltered. But what we're going to do right now, this segment, we're going to talk about everything that is happening in pop culture and what's happening in Black America for this week. And Marci Li, I want you to lead this segment.
All right.
Because you had a lot of things you was enlightening me to, and I was like, wow.
Well, one of the things that I think one of the things that was brought to my attention that I think we should talk about is this Pope.
The Pope.
This Pope from Australia, though. It's Australia. But
when they gonna get to the ones over here, the Catholic priests?
You know what? That's a good question, but I think they're moving in the right direction. And for all of you who don't know, there is a Pope. His name is Cardinal George Pell, and he has been convicted and will be going to prison for 6 years for his inappropriate child sex abuse of 2 choir boys.
6 years.
6
now,
years.
You know the black man gets 6 years for jaywalking and having a joint in his pocket.
Hey.
And this man is going around molesting young men and robbing them of their innocence and robbing them of their childhood. And he only gets 6 years?
6 years.
That is blasphemy.
Blasphemy.
But it's a start, right?
It's a start, but they need to get it together. How can you support an institution like that when you know it's rampant? Like, these dudes, they wildin'.
When I say it's a start, right, I would look at it as, okay, this happened over there because it doesn't affect us over here. But hopefully the United States will have the moral fortitude to follow their lead and to convict these pedophiles that masquerade as
but you know what? You know they not.
And
wow.
Preachers and
look, they too big. You got the Catholic Church, and they like the NRA. They got so much money, so much power. From what I understand, when these popes are found or are accused of doing these things, all they do is simply move them somewhere else.
Yeah, they move them somewhere else. And
how can people who are a part of that faith not be outraged and not do something about it? It's the strangest thing to me.
Yo, listen, let me explain something, right? In 2019, these priests, these preachers, and these reverends are the money changers that Jesus ran and flipped over the table that they talk about in the Bible. These are the same people Jesus ran from amongst us. So I'm not surprised about it, but it's just.
What does this say about society, though?
It says a lot about society because with all this information and with people knowing Like, I wouldn't step foot in one of those.
But it's not just the
churches.
church though. Like, we are just some oversexed, crazy nuts. Like, what is the problem with the world? Because now we're seeing it's not just America. Because I think it was you who was telling me that porn sites, when it was the shutdown,
Mm-hmm.
they was just talking about how much it was an increase of people being at home and not at work. They was on porn sites. Why are we so like crazy about sex? Like, we see it all the time. We get it all the time. What is the issue? Like, you got R. Kelly, you got Bill Cosby, you got all these people involved in this sexual deviance. What's the problem?
I think the problem is that we have been brainwashed. We have been overconsumed with mass media and whatever is more prominent that's on television and different things like that. The sexualization of things. A lot of people, more than we would like to believe, have brought into it. So what else? What's next?
Oh, so we done with that?
What?
We're done with that one?
Yeah, we done with that. I'm
right.
not. Listen.
What?
Listen, I don't want to waste no more time that don't exist on that.
Why?
Because we got a lot to cover.
All right, well, you go ahead.
We can go all day about it. No, I want you to run down the list. What's next?
Okay, mister. I guess the next thing on the list would have to be... well, see, you don't want to talk about that. You told me you don't want to talk about Lisa Van Allen and what she had to say about Miss Mother. So you don't want to do that. The other thing I had was Nancy Pelosi and her comment about Trump and impeachment.
Yeah, you know what? I briefed over something that came across my timeline, but what's that about?
She was just talking about how she did not think that Trump should be impeached because she believes that it will be divisive and cause chaos. Like, it will just make things worse.
So what? So he gets away with colluding with Russia and all these crimes that he's committed and financial embezzlement of money. Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, and you know what? The Democrats, is their fault because they at the House, and when they announced that, what is she? She's the Speaker of the House, right? And when they announced that she was going to be the Speaker, there was other prominent black women that names was being thrown out there.
Okay.
And they overlooked her for Nancy Pelosi or whatever her name is. And this is what they get. Yo, let me tell you something, man. The Democrats and the Republican are two separate wings, right? Of the same bird. Yo, come on, man. Yo, they've been talking about impeaching this man forever. And now as you get closer and closer, because they saying that Mike Pence is 10 times worse than Trump. So what? Bring it on.
Well, what do you mean? Bring it on. You want to give him a go?
Listen, give him a go.
Well, the only reason why I think
what I mean? It's just like, yo, we got to stop with the lesser of two evils. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, right.
You catching hell with Trump and we'll catch more hell with him.
What's the likelihood that you think people are going to get some balls and do something about it? Everybody is caught up in this two-party system where they feel like they can only vote for a Democrat or a Republican when there's plenty of other political parties to participate with. But I think the thing that's important about what Pelosi was talking about, which you might not agree.
What is that?
If you think further ahead and you thinking about the New World Order and these conspiracy theories, I think she might be onto something just a little bit because I'm thinking about martial law.
Okay.
I'm thinking about concentration camps.
Okay.
It's almost like they trying to check the temperature, what you always say. Trying to see what can we do to get them to react in a way that will give us the ability to enact martial law, to put these people in concentration camps. So I'm thinking along those lines, she might, because the Trump people have already said, we gonna burn his mother down if y'all try to kick him out of office.
Yeah, but you see, this is the thing though, Ryan. It's always, what if this had happened? What if that would happen? It's always that black cloud of fear, right?
Right.
Listen, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You know what I mean? And let me tell you something, right? For some people, and I'm speaking of black people, we already in concentration camps. And it can't get no better than this. I meant to say, it can't get no worse than this.
It can get worse. People said that before Trump got elected, I had so many black people who weren't thinking or wasn't informed enough to understand policy, to understand executive orders, to understand how it would affect black people. I mean, they were thinking there's no difference between Hillary and Trump. The difference is Hillary would not have been able to get away with doing the things that Trump has been able to get away with. That's why he was put here. And what I'm saying is, if we play into this narrative, and they're always playing these psychological games.
Yeah.
I would rather be living how I'm living than living in a concentration camp. I would rather be living how I'm living now than have martial law enacted. You really think that it's...
I don't think they'll do it, and if they do it, then bring it on. That's just me. But one thing I will tell you, right, is Trump already accomplished what he was put in the office to accomplish.
Okay.
And that was, he has appointed more federal judges than any sitting president. Now, those judges are right, but they're right-wing judges, right, that have similar ideology.
Conservative ideologies
Right. Like Trump. And they are going to be in office for the next 40 to 50 years. So I believe, that Trump accomplished what he was put in office to do. And that is him being the president that appointed more federal judges than any of his predecessors. And that these judges all have an anti-black, an anti-immigrant policy and stance, and there are right-wing judges that are gonna make sure for the next 35 to 40 years that line of thinking is what's going to be the rule of law.
Well, see, that's what...
That right there has more lasting effect than any of his other policies. Because guess what? The next president that gets in office could repel a lot of that he's doing. The immigration thing, throw that out. The overspending to the Defense Department, cut that in half. But what you ain't going to do, you ain't going to remove those Supreme Court judges, and you ain't going to remove those federal court judges, because they are in office, and until they do something that's unethical, then they're going to be deciding the law. So that's my thing.
It's like, okay, so we understand Trump. We understand that he has some asinine, behaviors, things that he says. Why do we keep giving him attention? Like, why can't we just be like, oh, yeah, that fool over there acting like a fool, and keep it moving? Why do we keep on giving him
He's the president
all this
of the
attention?
United States.
But if there's nothing we can do based off of what you're saying, what is the point?
I'm not saying
is it to just have public opinion to be in sync?
No, we can hold we can hold him accountable and hold his feet to the fire. But listen, we as American citizens and people, we can't do nothing. It's up to those Democrats that's in office, those congressmen and people like Nancy. How you say her name?
Pelosi.
It's
up to them
to do the right thing.
It's up to the
because
Democrats.
they can enact along with Republicans. They have a bill right now where they can stop him from building this wall, and they're trying to come up with a compromise.
But you just said that they're two wings of the same bird. So we know that they're working together in concert. And they try to pretend like they're not. That's one thing former Governor Jesse Ventura, he wrote a book about it. He constantly talked about it. I actually thought he was going to run for president, but I think he got spooked. I think they was like, no, because he was talking about it big time. But he was talking about it all the time, how in front of the cameras, they fighting at each other, but behind closed doors, they're the best of friends. And we've seen photos of these politicians hanging out. Yeah. So that's not too far.
Black tie galas.
Yeah. So
drinking.
We as the people, don't you think it's time for us to start thinking for ourselves? Like, stop playing this game with them. Like Democrats, you're saying it's up to them. But it's up to us to make sure that they represent our interests. But they're not doing that at all.
So what's our solution?
To me, the solution is we need our own sub-government. Like, we need to forget about this.
We need a third party.
Well, we have some third parties. We had the Green Party.
But people hasn't been taking them serious. And I think that's was the problem. Because when you have individuals that are not of the mindset of Democrats, like Bernie Sanders.
Right.
He wasn't a Democrat, but he had to come to the Democratic Party in order to be taken serious.
He's an independent, right?
Yeah, he was an independent.
Well,
because we got 5 more minutes. What else we got?
I'm watching you. You tell me what's happening. I gave up some stuff. It's time for you to give up
some stuff. Well, you know what I want to talk about?
What?
I want to talk about this situation that's going on with the school system.
Okay.
Now, a couple of years ago, they had a situation. It was front headline news. It was called APS, Atlanta Public School Scandal. But there's a bigger scandal going on now.
Absolutely.
There is a bigger scandal that's going on now.
What's up, Felicity?
And
what's up, Lori?
This scandal involves 8 universities, right? Millions in bribes, 10 corrupt coaches.
Up to $25 million, too.
Yeah. And guess what? Over 50 people involved.
Right.
In it.
Yep.
So this is something very, very big. The feds, when they busted them, they call it Operation Varsity Blues.
What a cute name.
And these was rich, affluent white people that was using their money, power, and influence to allow their daughters to attend colleges. And sons to attend colleges. And
not based off of
their qualification.
Merit. Because they always saying, no affirmative action.
Oh, this you have to get affirmative action. This was you had to pay to play.
Absolutely, so, but I'm saying conservatives for the longest they was always saying that they're against affirmative action because it disregards merit. Mm-hmm. But we know people like Bush, rich people before this scandal was paying universities, buying, their attendance at these high-profile schools. So this ain't new. Is this new?
No, this is not new.
It's just flipped a different way.
I think what is new is that they got caught. They usually don't get caught. But this individual that did it, right, this is why he got caught. Not only did he set up a bogus nonprofit where he funneled the money to.
And you talking about his name is William Singer.
Yeah, some people was paying up to. They said one person paid $1.5 million. Like, this was crazy. These parents was doing whatever they had to make sure little Bobby and Becky get into these schools. And what this guy Singer did with his nonprofit is that he funneled the money there. And then he wrote the money that he received off as a tax deductible. So not only did you get over, you trying to get over twice. And it was a lot of greed.
Racketeering charges.
Yeah. But listen, I can guarantee you, and I'm going to follow this closely. I want to see if they get as much time as they did to those black school teachers that was changing test scores, because in this instance there was no test scores to change. They actually paid a proctor to actually
fill in the correct
answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, listen, this is what they did. This is how the scam went, right? If you lived in Maryland, you would say, "Oh, I'm sick. Can I get an extension to take the test?" Right? So they said, "Yeah, okay, you can get extension." Then you would say, "All right, well, I'm in New York. I need a proctor." All right, well, you're in New York. You need a proctor, and they will already have their guy there. Meet at the public library. He takes the test, and in return, he probably got paid $150,000. Like this was a scandal.
And not to mention the coaches. I thought the coach part was crazy too. So they would apply to the school hoping to up their chances. The coaches would basically agree and tell the colleges that these kids were in this sports program.
Yeah, scholarship.
And then once the kid got accepted, they would drop out of the sport and not do it. But the coach would get paid and everybody. That is an elaborate plan. Like, it's just something that somebody like us, we wouldn't think of doing stuff like that.
No, we don't. But you know what we do, and we get penalized for it? We will take our kids
to a better school system,
to a better school outside of our district, which parents have been jailed for, because we want what's good for our kids.
How is that criminal?
We want them to succeed. We want them to be the best that they can be and get the best education.
And they know that it's not the same education, because if it wasn't an issue, you wouldn't have a problem with them coming to your jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they must know that it's something wrong, or that their child is not getting what their child is getting.
They know.
So that's the big scam with the rich white people. I don't know if there's any black people involved. So I don't know about that. We'll just say people who got a lot of money.
If it is, it probably was the janitor.
How did janitor come in? Anyway.
Listen, the janitor knew what was going on and he didn't blow the whistle. So what else we got? We got 3 more minutes before we close out. What else we got?
No, I think that's basically it. We can wrap it up because you got something else? I don't have anything else.
That's it. I want to say condolence to George Foreman. George Foreman. I said George Frazier.
His daughter.
I want to say condolence to George Foreman, his daughter, Frida George Foreman. You know, she had George as
all
as
his
her
children
middle name.
have George.
And she died at the age of 42. And
they don't know the cause, though.
Yeah, they don't know the cause. But she leaves behind a husband, 2 daughters, 3 grandchildren, and her parents, as well as 11 siblings. She also had like 3-4 different degrees in college. So,
and she wanted to go into criminal justice.
Yeah, criminal justice.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, you know. She did the boxing thing because she wanted to show her father she could do that. But she definitely was building herself up by going to school and getting 3 degrees to be a social justice warrior. And my condolence to their family. I read a post that George Foreman had posted, and he said this will be the first Sunday in 42 years without his daughter. It was really touching and heartbreaking. So our condolence goes out to the Foreman family and anybody else out there that lost a loved one.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to say peace and black power, and I'll see you the same time, same place next week. Are you going to be joining us next week?
Am I going to be joining you next week?
You know you be busy all the time.
No. I'll be here next week.
Necessary Blackness podcast is independently owned, and we do not accept sponsorship dollars from corporations. We are supported by the people such as yourself who know that in war, the first casualty is the truth. We are at war with racism and white supremacy. We must continue to tell the truth. Support us by purchasing your Necessary Blackness t-shirt by sending an email to necessaryblacknesspodcast@gmail.com.